Welcome everyone to The Right Moves, your place for chess tactics and strategies um, to make you go from ELO 400 to 1200 in 6 months or less. No, Peter, this is market commentary, right? There's all kinds of moves that happen within the markets, but it's nice to know what the right ones are. Hey, that's what it writes itself. I think that could be like the intro. I'm your host, Tom Hartman, joined by whoever this guy is. My brother, Peter. Is that what they call you?
They call me Peter Hartman, indeed.
Wait, you're muted.
I'm muted.
Mic off. Nope. Sorry. Go ahead. Say something.
Uh, Testing 1 2 3. I don't think I'm muted,
My fault.
as it usually is.
Peter, I'm on the Traders Post shows, which are great. After Hours is fantastic. Blueprint, Office Hours, but sometimes I want to just unleash a little bit on some of these things that we
Oh no,
see.
I didn't realize I
And
was signing up for you. Unleashing. This is going to
yeah,
be great.
yeah, absolutely. This is where we're really gonna like lay into the stuff that we see. Now, there is Peter had a great idea for this podcast. So the idea is that there's news, then there's market commentary on the news, but then who's commenting on the commenters? We gotta Russian nesting all this thing up, okay?
Who's watching the Watchers?
Exactly. Although it stops with us. Like no one's gonna comment on
Nobody
our
can watch
thing.
us. Yeah, that's right.
Not allowed to.
Unnecessary.
That's the rule.
Yeah, like you
Well,
can
by the time
do.
we
You
get to
can
what
do.
we're doing, we've already figured it out, like what the right answer is. So it's just about implementing. We're the Supreme Court when it comes to podcasting. That's
Like
it.
you can Doge USAID, but you can't Doge.
Right. You
Yeah,
can Cardano Doge, but then that's the Supreme Court. That's the
that's the
end of it.
super card. That's right.
Yeah. So I wanted to start with this video that came out a month ago from Breaking Points, where Crystal Ball seems to go psychotic on this the Bitcoin reserve idea from Donald Trump. Right. So if you don't know, the idea here is that Donald Trump potentially has pledged to make a Bitcoin reserve where just like El Salvador and some other places, one other place, I think, Bitcoin would be held as a treasury asset. So along with dollars, bonds, and gold, Bitcoin would be added there. And the idea is that this would be great to have an asset that's going up in value. It can help with in troubling times. It could be used as a source of revenue for the government, but more importantly for Bitcoiners and like regular people, the asset might go up in value because of the buying from central banks. And you can imagine that if the government is buying a bunch of these bitcoins, then other central banks might also do the same thing. And then this opens up more trade, opens up more liquidity. It decreases volatility for the asset and makes the asset go up in price. It could skyrocket. When we take a look at gold, you'll see gold went from $35 an ounce for when it was first depegged from the dollar up to what is it, almost $3,000 now per ounce. So the idea that those kinds of gains could be interesting. My problem here with Crystal Ball, and we're going to step through this video. It's a few minutes long. We're going to step through all of it because it's one unbelievably insane partisan thing after the next. She does get ripped in the comments about it, but not enough. I think not enough of just fly by nights, single lines. I really want to go ahead and step through it because um, we get sort of tired, Peter, watching these people do these commentaries and then like not actually say the truth or actually delve into it in any way that makes sense. All right, give me a second here. What do you think about this framing? I like this.
Well, it depends. Do you want
Well,
to
you're the editor,
dramatically?
so
Yeah. Do you want to dramatically overcomplicate your shorts? I mean, what's the value of this shot?
that we're not like little tiny off into the corner like this is,
Yeah,
and
but
that we can pause and talk about it as we go.
it okay. But then you're gonna have those transitions and all those things in the shorts. I mean, we're only
And
doing it like this for now. We're gonna be on OBS, so I don't really care. So do whatever
Okay.
just do whatever you want to do.
All right, so we'll do it like this because I do want to. We're gonna have to pause through this thing. All right, here we go. Let me know if you can hear it.
Crystal, what are you taking a look at?
Well,
I'll ask you one last question. You don't
It's loud.
Too loud?
Way too loud.
like Bitcoin? You wouldn't invest in
All right, crack it
Bitcoin?
down.
Do
Even
you
more.
invest in the stock market at this moment?
A little higher.
So not at
All
this
right,
moment.
start it
I
over.
think it's high.
Oh wait, I should have lowered it in the settings over there. Whatever.
Yeah, you can't
Crystal,
hear it on
what are
your
you taking
side.
a look at?
well,
Sorry.
You can't
Actually,
hear
I
it
have
on
to
your
raise
side.
this and then lower it on yours.
You can't hear it on your side.
I can, but only at regular volume.
Oh,
Okay, tell me if this is any better.
I'll ask you one last question. You don't like Bitcoin? You wouldn't invest in Bitcoin? Do you invest in the stock market at this moment?
So not at this moment. I think it's high. So I have not invested in the stock market at this moment. I have in the past, but I have not at this moment. I think it's high.
Okay.
Bitcoin, I just seems like a scam. I was surprised. With us, it was at 6,000 and much lower. I don't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar. Essentially, it's a currency competing against the dollar. I want the dollar to be the currency of the world. That's what I've always said.
so that was former President Trump in 2021 telling Fox Business that Bitcoin seems like a scam and voicing concern it could undermine the dollar. My, what a little time a few $100 million in campaign contributions can do to change your mind. Because now, after receiving the backing of a bunch of crypto-aligned billionaires and wealthy individuals, including Elon Musk, Trump is backing a plan to funnel American taxpayer assets into a scheme to further enrich his coterie of oligarchs through a strategic Bitcoin reserve.
All right. That was a mouthful over there, right? So the idea here is that she's saying she already knows that the reason why Donald Trump is doing this is because he didn't change his mind from
no, you can't do
2021.
that. Nobody ever changes their mind.
Well, it's almost assuming that he's lying at some point, right?
Of course, it's obvious.
And the idea here is that rich oligarchs are petitioning in order to get this change. First of all, that's how it is right now. That's how it is all the time. There's always an oligarch class, people who are then lobbying and pitching and all that sort of thing. Is the idea here that had he wanted to do a Bitcoin reserve, let's say in 2016 or 2014, Bitcoin had just started to take root, you'd have been like, oh, he's really listening to the people. No, that doesn't make any sense. All right, it only became an issue once Bitcoin actually proved to the world that it could actually be at least a source of profit, if not a store of value. So who's gonna? Is she calling up Donald Trump and being like, "Hey, I have this idea for what might be good or whatever"? No, it's the oligarchs going to bring the idea. And the idea of getting rich, I find that to be always so, in a sense, hypocritical because, like, she's wealthy, she's a multi-millionaire on a show being supported by the YouTube algorithm. She has 1.4 million viewers. She's not in it for not the money.
Right.
She wishes she had $1 billion.
But she's not a public servant.
Well, the oligarchs aren't public servants either.
Yeah, but if Donald Trump is going to use his office to enrich himself,
well, she says he's going to enrich the oligarchs,
including himself.
Well, fine, but he's not going to get as rich as the oligarchs will.
Okay.
He doesn't have $200 billion. He's just the president. This is the dupe who's the president. And so already framing this as this is just a scheme in order to enrich people, you go, okay, well, that's always what it is. All right, Crystal, your whole show is based on the idea that this is a scheme to rich people. So I don't know why you're surprised about that. Everything that she participated in, that's the case. But fine, let's say that's what it is.
In a conversation with Jim Cramer at the New York Stock Exchange, Trump recently confirmed that plan to throw the weight of the U.S. government behind Bitcoin, placing the volatile speculative asset on the same level as gold and as oil. So how exactly would this all work? Well, Senator Cynthia Lummis, herself a significant Bitcoin investor who has become crypto's top proponent in Washington, has sketched out potential details. Basically, in her view, they could pull some creative accounting with the nation's gold reserves. Those reserves would be marked to current market value. The resulting paper gains would be used to finance bulk Bitcoin purchases to the tune of $200,000 a year for 5 straight years. As the Financial Times explains, today, the U.S. government's gold is valued at a book cost of $42.22 an ounce, making it worth $11 billion. At current market prices, it would be worth over $650 billion. So, if we've understood correctly, Federal Reserve banks would be required to remit around $640 billion to the U.S. Treasury, and the Treasury could use those funds to buy Bitcoin. Now, this is, on its face, a plan for extraordinary plundering of the public purse, which would result in perhaps the largest upward transfer of wealth in history, given that it would primarily be a handful of Bitcoin whales who stand to benefit. Because as unequal as our normal financial system is, and it is plenty unequal, the crypto world is vastly more unequal. According to the National Bureau of Economic Research, the top 0.01% of Bitcoin holders control 27% of all Bitcoin in circulation. The top 2% of all wallets hold over 90% of all Bitcoin. South Africa, which is considered the most unequal country in the world and has a Gini coefficient of somewhere around 0.63, that pales in comparison to that of Bitcoin, which is estimated to be around 0.88. Now, the presence of a small group of whales means, of course, that a handful of mega wealthy investors stands to benefit from the US government showing up with a virtually unlimited checkbook to buy up Bitcoin. And it also means that the price of Bitcoin, which has little actual value except as a high-tech poker chip, can be easily manipulated by a relatively small group of people.
Okay, so
Now do the
just
dollar, right?
exactly. Let's do the dollar. Let's do treasury bonds. So she's just describing how the system already works. It even sounds Bitcoin, right? So you
Right.
have the treasury bills, the treasury market, and it's just a promise that the government will pay back this the loan that you're giving it with money that it prints, right? And who's on the hook for that? The American people. The American people, any government who issues any bonds, it's the taxpayers that they're loaning it out for. So she has no problem with that, right? She has no problem with that system. Well, she makes the claim that there's all kinds of problems with the existing system, but this would be even worse. Well, for one thing, this Cristobal is the same person who's advocating the $1 trillion coin to deposit at the Treasury in order to clear the debt.
just print $1 trillion coin.
A $1 trillion
Just
coin, clear the
why
debt.
haven't we done this already? I don't get it.
Right.
Hurry up.
So just keep that in mind, right? That's what she's in favor for. That's what she was talking about it for a while. I thought that was just like unbelievably insane. Not that you wouldn't see, okay, like a debt jubilee like that would be. I mean, talk about a transfer of wealth. The wealthy would be like, hey, we have no more debt. We have all our resources. Let's start this thing up again and start right from the get go. And the person who had nothing still wouldn't have anything. Now she's describing the upward transfer of wealth. If so, the idea here is that if they mark the gold to market and they're able to reevaluate it so that it's worth more, they can then collateralize that and then use that in order to buy Bitcoin. And the danger here is that if Bitcoin falls or well, essentially, she talks about later on if the Bitcoin falls, but what she's saying over here is that let's say that causes the Bitcoin price to dramatically increase because $640 billion will go inside, much less whatever the payments they'll make over time. That those who hold Bitcoin, the top percent of people who hold Bitcoin, will become extraordinarily wealthy, right? That technically isn't a transfer of wealth from the population, right? It's only a transfer of wealth in a sense for when they sell the Bitcoin, that the people, the retail traders who are buying it, they're the ones who are then filling up the coffers, which is fine to me because that's an opt-in. It's an opt-in system, and a bunch of these the oligarchs that she's talking about, who are the top holders, they're not selling their coins, right? The Michael Sellers of the world, they're not selling these coins. And so It's
Why
not a
would you
transfer
when you
of wealth
can you can
in the way that taxes and inflation are, right? That's a whole other thing that's actually a transfer of wealth from those who have little to those who have a lot, or to the government. This is not that, because you still have to opt into the Bitcoin system in order to do it.
and don't you just borrow against your Bitcoin? Isn't that the smart move rather than selling the Bitcoin? Like, why would the rich sell their Bitcoin?
Well, that's the idea that like, if what she's talking about, like, she's talking about it as if it's a meme coin, that they drive the price of Bitcoin up, then they sell it all, and then, or whatever, sell some significant portion, and then take their winnings in dollars, which is fine, because everyone who's holding Bitcoin for in order for that, for a financial profit, that's their goal. She has no problem if you buy Bitcoin and it goes up to $1 million a coin, and then you sell it. She has no issue with that. So then why would that be a problem for larger holders? In fact, that increases the amount of Bitcoins that are in circulation. Now, I do agree that the decentralized nature of Bitcoin isn't to the degree that I would want. Um, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Cardano is the most decentralized cryptocurrency now, by certain metrics. But the a lot of the people, the numbers that she's citing for the Bitcoin holders, those are actually wallets that are actually holding on behalf of thousands to millions of people, because they're custodial wallets for exchanges and stuff like that. So if you count it in that way, right? The Maxis would say, well, not your keys, not your coin. Yeah, I get that. But the idea is that there's a claim on those assets to other people.
So, what is the actual concentration? The percentage
Well, we
with
don't really know. That's the difficulty. We don't really know. What I do like the idea um, of the government buying Bitcoin is that that'll be an asset that we can actually audit.
Hmm.
It'll be on the chain. You go tell me right now how much gold is sitting in Fort Knox or wherever. You go tell me how much gold is there. We know gold futures are trading, but we don't know where the actual gold is. No one can actually check it. You certainly can't go do that.
I heard there's a
Um,
rumor in London right now, where in the UK, where the gold is not there.
well, we've always known this is interesting. So for the gold market, there's more paper gold, which means gold shares, gold futures, basically assets that are traded that are represent a stake in gold, but they just multiply, right? So you can imagine that, let's say there is a gold ETF. So the stock representing a certain amount of gold futures, and then there's options on that ETF, right? And every option, which is an insurance policy on the stock, on the ETF, now represents 100 times more than that asset. Well, now there's way more dollars flowing around that have some sort of claim towards physical gold than there is actual physical gold. And so what's happening right now is that there's this because of this arbitrage trade, because of this anyways, for a number of reasons, where you can actually go take a look at our the video that I was in with Mike Christensen on After Hours about the gold market. Um, it's not a Ponzi scheme; it's a game of musical chairs. If everybody, Wonderful Lifestyle, decided they wanted to call in their claim on gold, well, there's not enough gold for everybody. But we're fine with that. Like, our system is run in that sort of way. Debt actually underpins our system like that. And so, what she's describing here with Bitcoin, it's an asset that's more transparent. Two, more people can actually get into it. Like, if you wanted to get into it, you could, in a global way. If the average Joe Blow, if you were to ask them, hey, where would you go to buy treasury bills? They don't know. You'd be like, what's the interest you're getting on treasury? Let's say you tell them, hey, you can get 5% on your treasury bill because of interest rates now. Go ahead and put $1,000 in. You'll make money every month, and at the end of whatever the 30 years for holding it, you get 5% back. They'd be like, excuse me, what? They'll have no idea what to do, how to think about that. And then when you explain to them, well, what is this thing that I'm buying? Oh, you're lending the government money. Excuse me? So rich people do it all the time because you have millions of dollars. It's worthwhile to get your 5% on that. You can you can fund your retirement depending on how you live. But for the Bitcoin stuff, literally anybody can then it wouldn't be restricted per region. It wouldn't be restricted per region. You can have anybody purchase it in the same way that anybody can purchase dollars, and then the value of dollars can go up because of the demand of it. And if you're holding dollars, it goes up in value. Same thing can happen with Bitcoin. So I'm not seeing what the real issue there is. It's an opt-in. They're not forcing everyone to buy Bitcoin. And if the oligarchs do make tons of money, it's because people decided to cash out for them because they think that it's a worthwhile investment. Fine, they're allowed to do that.
But Bitcoin is a scam. It's a Ponzi scam.
Well, it depends what you mean by scam. So for something to be a Ponzi scheme, there has to be an inherent promise of return, right? People buy cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin, knowing that it's a gamble. Like the idea is that they're waiting for price appreciation. They do understand that people need to come in, but there's no mystery around it. No one's holding on to their Bitcoin thinking they're going to get a dividend payment. Like that's not the case. And so Ponzi schemes is when there's usually you need the component of there's a promise of return. We don't have that promise of return. In fact, it's the opposite. Right?
So a pyramid scheme.
Well, it's more like a casino. It's much more like a casino.
So you think the government should put Bitcoin as a reserve asset or no? Because if it's a casino, isn't it a casino for the government as well?
Well, here's the other part. And it touches on this idea of Donald Trump changing his mind. First of all, that's what you want from a politician. You want the politician to talk to their constituents and to go, "Hey, we really want this thing," and he goes, "Well, they really want this thing, so I'm going to give it to them." That's what they're supposed to do. And if there is a contingent who've made their claim and convinced the politician that's what they want, and the people vote for it, well, then that's what's supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be, "Hey, if the elite and the wise crystal balls of the world think it's a bad idea, we gainsay what the population says and don't do it." No, if the population wants to vote for the country to run off the cliff, they're allowed to do that too.
Isn't that the point of a representative government?
Yeah.
That we don't want direct democracy? Because I actually disagree with you on this point. I think that if the public wants something, but the representative who should be the one who has the time to study the matter and research it compared to the average Joe, if they say no, it's their job to convince their constituents, no, this is not good for you. That's part of their job.
No. It's part of the job for the representative to make the case to their constituents if they think it's a bad idea.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah, but if the people say no, we still want to do it, then he's got to do it.
Well, yeah.
So,
but she's trying to convince the populace it's a bad idea.
no, she's saying that Donald Trump is doing this because he wants to do an upward transfer of wealth to oligarchs. That's what she's saying. There's no proof of that.
So you think that she would think that this is a good idea so long as there weren't whales?
No, because she's saying that Bitcoin has no value. She said Bitcoin has no value.
Oh.
But the components of the value for Bitcoin are the same components as the value for any of the other assets that you're dealing with. Currency is only the currency of your land by force of violence. They make it so. They make it so. They don't. You're not like, oh my god, if the government said I couldn't use dollars, I would be begging to use these dollars. No, they're like, because you're forced to use it, then you can do it. Bitcoin doesn't have that. Bitcoin, the government is not saying we're going to make it a reserve asset and now you're forced to use it for legal tender. That's not what's being said. And so it's actually far more democratic because it's totally opt-in.
Well, I get the sense, the feeling that you're thinking that Crystal Ball is wrong.
Well, she's making all these claims of this negative view on the situation and not addressing at all that millions of people want this to occur. It's not just the oligarchs, The whole reason why the oligarchs are even interested in Bitcoin to begin with is that the retail people drove up the price.
Right.
That's why they're even interested inside of it. So it bubbled up from the bottom, but she's not saying that. If what she's saying is true, and this is all a scheme in order to make Bitcoin increase in price, then a bunch of people who have Bitcoin will also get that price increase. If
Yeah,
Bitcoin
but
doubles
if
in price and you have $100 worth of Bitcoin, your Bitcoin's gonna be worth $200.
yeah, but
The
now I'm at
benefits all the way down.
$200, and the guy with 200 billion is now at 400 billion.
Okay, so I would rather that than the buyback schemes for stocks, where that same guy who has $100 billion can put their money inside of stock assets that you can't buy,
Right.
and then have all these different schemes, buyback schemes, IPO, SPACs, all these different the Fed coming in to buy assets, supporting market, money printing, the whole thing. It goes up anyway. They make their money that way, and you're worse off. So give me the scheme where
I agree.
some guy can have $10 worth of a thing and his thing also doubles. What's wrong with
Hey,
that?
hey, don't get all upset at me. I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Okay. This
Okay,
is
but I don't
this
like
is
it.
it's called this is called right moves, not called circle jerk. Okay.
So the idea here is that even if what she's saying is true, to the degree of like the only reason Donald Trump is doing it is because he wants to serve as donors, it's still moving in the direction of democratizing access to this asset. It makes
Right.
it they will have to have regulatory clarity. They won't be able to prevent regular people from actually, or it'll be difficult to prevent retail users from actually buying the asset. It's an asset that can be transferred globally, and you have transparency over ownership. This all that sounds much better than the existing system.
Is that all I can do? So, is there a way to increase the wealth and prosperity of the lower man, the, sorry, the non-elite, and not simultaneously increase the wealth of the elite, besides redistribution of wealth?
Is
Like,
there a
I
way to
wonder,
increase?
like, what is the scenario where everything gets great for the average person, but the guys at the top don't actually profit?
There's no way.
Besides redistribution of wealth,
Well,
communism, right?
no. If they do that by taking the wealth from the wealthy, then the services that the wealthy provide will also suffer as well.
We just nationalize those.
Yeah, it still won't be good. The
Well, if we
difference
put
between the
smart
post
people
office and
behind it,
FedEx.
that's just because the post office has to fight against FedEx. But if there's no FedEx and there's only the post office, then you'll have the best post office in the
There
world.
used to be only the post office, then FedEx came.
Yeah, I know, but FedEx made a lot of profit and showed the world how to do it. Now you steal that from FedEx, including the money and the people. You force them into the postal service, and now that's the thing about first you got to capitalism, then you course correct, and then you
Marxism,
capitalism, and
exactly.
then you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the way it works. Isn't that what
Look,
she? Isn't that what she believes?
um, is she a closet Marxist? I'm not sure.
Well, she believes in redistribution of wealth to some degree.
I don't think so. She wouldn't have the $40 million otherwise. She'd be
Then,
redistributing that wealth to other people.
then
She's not
what
going out
is?
there handing out checks.
What's the alternative to Bitcoin being a reserve asset? Just this looming debt crisis. I mean, it's coming to an end.
Well,
I mean,
that's
I know
where
you don't think that,
crypto
but
can actually solve that.
right, right.
If we, I mean, crypto on its own couldn't solve it. Crypto and AI together, I think, really now, w- it's the first time I ever actually felt hopeful,
Hmm.
right? Because you have the situation where you go, okay, where does wealth come from? It comes from us rejiggering things that used to be there into new things that are uh, that offer more leverage. So you make a plow, the same field that you were plowing before. Now you get more out of it. You use a computer, the same effort, your energy you were extending before. Now can do more. You have email, the same
Pesticides.
exactly. So you get the leverage. Technology leverages things. So you have the situation where we might be, if we have AI, robots, and crypto, that means we have a way of generating both physical and knowledge based leverage, right? These systems that can run way longer concurrently, um, and do more than the average person. Then you have the cryptocurrency that allows for the tying of value to all kinds of different actions and products in a way that allows for granularity and sending that value back to you. Let's say, right? I always use example of, hey, what if I write a book? Now it gets used by an LLM, and if the idea of the book even was used by an LLM, I get 0.01, 1 cent off of that, and then that accumulates through all the different ways, and that you just have this constant stream of money towards you. And so you can generate a massive amount of productivity that way. And if, let's say, we have a jump, an order of magnitude higher in productivity, because we have the network layer, the communications layer from the internet and telecommunications that we've been doing now since the 1950s, and then all of a sudden, boom, we turn on the switch, and now there's actually far more activity. You could essentially, it would be like maybe quadrupling, sextupling the population of the planet with the productivity that's there, and the amount of wealth that would create would be equal to, would be an order of magnitude above all the wealth that exists right now. Well, if that was the case, then it's like if you had a $5,000 credit card that you were at your max limit, and you were just paying down the interest all the time, and it was struggling, and all of a sudden your pay went up 100%. Oh, sorry, went up 10x. Well, then all of a sudden this $5,000 credit card is not even an issue anymore.
That's right. Now you take out a $100,000 credit card and then you pay that interest.
Yeah, but then we just start the game again, and then it's just like later on down the line. You just
That's
do
right.
that for 1,000 years, and then that's for people on the next fourth turning and the fourth turning to deal with. That's the cycle. We just reset. Now we could reset with a crash, where we go all the way up to zero. We play the rogue game, where you just always start again from the beginning, or it's a roguelike, where you keep some of the stuff that you collected on the last time. And all you got to make sure is that you're part of the people who are collecting the stuff on the last time.
So is the Bitcoin reserve a right move?
Well, it's a right move in the sense that the people want it, and so do it.
People wanted war in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Do it.
Is it the right move? Will it work? Is it a smart thing to do?
It can work.
I don't want to live in a world where we just do what the people want. That's crazy. People are crazy. Have you met people?
Wait, when you say right, do you mean
Will it
lead to the most amount of prosperity for the most number of people?
Yes.
Then yes, this. Absolutely.
All
It's
right.
a step in the direction of away from the status quo, which was, it's a train wreck heading off a cliff. Like, we all know that. And so if we go, okay, let's drastically change the direction. You go, well, there's a cliff on that way. You're saying that there might be. We definitely know there's a cliff over there, and soon. So let's just drastically turn this train around and see what happens over there.
Before we end this segment, I just want to say that I disagree and don't appreciate the snide remarks you make about Crystal Ball, the attitude in which you seem to have towards her. She's look, there's room for improvement, but she's better than a lot of things out there. Okay, she's the Bitcoin of online media. Okay, not the coin we want, but the coin we need. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, my problem with her is the problem I have with everybody who's in that sort of situation, where you're, no matter what you're saying, you are not feeling the pain that the average American feels. Whenever they use that word, the average American, no average American goes, I'm an average American. No one ever says that. But when
What do you
say
mean? Of course they do.
American, you're an elite. Huh?
No, average Americans say that.
The average American doesn't go, you know what? As an average American, I really think that they just go as an American. The elites think of average Americans. Poor people and average Americans don't think of themselves as average Americans.
Maybe not. Okay, go ahead. Make your point.
Right? So then she pretends to be on the side of or she claims to be on the side of the people, but there's no way she feels that way. Like, she can't. Like, I remember when I used to, make no money at all, the guy on the side of the street, I felt such a kinship to him, the busker there. And if I made $40, I would give him $20. because I just felt like, look, at least I have a roof over my head. You're sitting on the street. I feel your pain. Now I walk over homeless people, and I'm annoyed if they're in my vicinity. And the way I want to help is in other ways, larger ways, in the ways where I have to deal with grimy homeless people.
When is the oligarchy going to clean this all up?
Exactly. And so I don't fault people with large amounts of money where they don't have to think about it. Inflation
But you
doesn't
don't like
hit
the
them.
pretending that she's like she understands the average person and this is
exactly.
good or bad or whatever.
And then on top of that, she has a bunch of contradictions in the things that she'll say. On some, it seems to really matter who's saying it, what side is saying it, and she has this snide sort of attitude about, oh, if they just listened to me, if they just did it my way, things would be much better. But I guess we're not doing it.
Yeah, but they're all like that in media online. Most of them are like that.
Sagar's not like that. Sagar's not
Well,
like that.
I mean,
Sagar's just like,
you're
he
going to
goes,
name one
I know I'm
person.
not
A
the
lot of
regular
them are that
person.
way. Tim Pool's that way. Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian. I mean, all these people
No,
are
Cenk Uygur and Anna
Tucker
Kasparian are
Carlson,
far
Pierce
more.
Morgan.
Pierce Morgan, classic.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Yeah.
all like that. You kind of gotta be like that to be a successful host. For the most part, you got to be
No.
like, my ideas are
Why?
great, and we should do things
Joe
my
Rogan's
way.
not like that.
Well, he's not. He's in a completely different category. Joe Rogan, Theo
Yeah,
Von.
he's in the category of not that.
No, he's just a comedian who's talking. He's not out there going, everybody should do what I think.
Right.
But
That's exactly my point.
I just mean his show is not prescriptive. These other talk shows, these pundits they think, hey, my ideas are good and my ideas should proliferate.
That's what I think the problem is.
I just think you're not going to become a successful host if you don't have this look at me, I'm right attitude. Because the
That's not
people
true.
you're representing, you're a representative for their ideas, and they want you to be an advocate for it. Donald Trump knows this.
Wait, when you say that they wouldn't be successful, you mean they wouldn't have money, or they wouldn't be successful as a commentariat member?
To be a commenter, a pundit online, or I guess in mainstream media as well, you have to speak with the feeling of, I'm right. Everybody who agrees with me is right. We should do what I think. It can't just be this like philosophical, scientific discussion of skepticism, and people don't resonate with that. Clearly,
I mean, I disagree. More than half the things that I consume, people aren't like that.
like what?
The stuff I consume?
Yeah.
Oh,
All in podcast, Charles Hoskinson. What else do you listen to? Naval.
No, all in podcasts. They're not pretending to be every man. Absolutely not.
No, I'm not saying they pretend to be every man. They're
Well, that's what I'm
showing
talking about.
my
Just pretending
ideas
to be on
are
the
the
side
right.
of the everyman.
No, my ideas are the right ideas, and you should listen to me, and we should do what I think.
That I don't mind. What I mind is the pretending to be on the side of the everyman.
Okay.
That's the part that just drives me crazy. It's this tone of what I'm talking about would be good for the everyman. What I like is these other people, when they're talking about this would be good for the American empire. Then I go, I can listen to you all day. I totally understand. You're pro empire, not pro empire. I could totally get that.
Right. I get it.
Say it or indirectly or not directly, fine. She's
Okay,
not
I get
saying
it.
that. He is
I get it.
pro American empire, but she's not saying it.
All right. I get you.
Sagar is pro American empire. He's reading
I
history
don't
books
know
and all
much
that sort
about
of
him.
thing and talking to the politicians.
I honestly, I don't watch these
him.
shows very much anymore. I just can't stand it anymore.
Oh, you don't like your David Pakmans anymore? You don't like your Majority Reports?
No, no.
Peter, you
All
gotta
this
watch
politics
God Save
stuff.
America.
No. I actually, ever since the election, I don't watch much political news anymore. Look, if your slant in the news isn't making fun of it, then I don't. I watch the Black Conservative Perspective, Jimmy Dore, the Theo Vons, the Joe Rogans. Like, I like people who are going to make Kurt Metzger. Like, I like people who are going to make fun of things. You can have real opinions and all that stuff, but if there's no like laughter, humor involved, and it's just like just yelling at people, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I've moved on to In Deep Geek, which is look. We're getting off track here, but I'd rather hear the news of Westeros than real life news. But there we are.
All right. Well, we didn't get through the full clip, but I might have had an aneurysm if we watched the
I
rest
think
of it.
you really gotta chip on your shoulder about Crystal Ball. I used to really like her with Andrew Yang back in the day during I remember in 2016. I don't know when he ran, but she seemed to have a good head on her shoulders, and there are things I agree with, things I disagree with, but look, it takes all
When
kinds,
she
right?
didn't get the roles that she needed at MSNBC,
Mm.
it's the most she felt like an everyman.
Mm.
I wasn't sure if it was before that or after that that she ran for Congress, right?
Yeah.
And then lost. All these losses, all these failures will make them feel like an everyman. It'll really weigh on them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if she's a 40 millionaire, like, okay, that's enough for you to live a great life and people closest to you. But she probably is connected to, you have family members, you have other people. You're not giving out your money to everybody, so maybe she knows the pain of people in her orbit.
No, she can't know the pain of it.
Not personally, no.
It's just like I'm not going to know the pain of a one-legged man. Like there's nothing I could say that's really going to get me to understand that. I get it. I might have stumped my foot and had a cat. Okay, then I have some idea, but I don't know.
All right. Okay, this is
I don't know.
philosophy. Let's.
She doesn't wake up in the middle of the night going, "Oh my god, how am I going to pay my school tuition? How am I going to?"
Well, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of rich people, from what I hear, they're like overextended. Like, you might have millions of dollars, but you're living a lifestyle of millions. If something goes wrong with the YouTube algorithm or whatever, you're paying out the nose every month on things. You think she's sitting with $40 million and just being judicious with all her dollars?
I understand that. And if she had to downgrade from a $40 million lifestyle to a $1 million lifestyle, it'll feel horrible to her. Absolutely horrible. She still won't be an everyman.
I get you.
All right. The next story is the tariffs. Okay, these Trump tariffs. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just want to make it clear that people talk about these tariffs as if they know for a fact this is going to be wildly inflationary. Wildly inflationary. Have you been hearing this?
Yeah.
Price is not going to come down. The American people are the ones who have to pay the tariffs. Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. Blah blah blah. Donald Trump might not know what he's talking about for tariffs. Totally, I'm fine with that. He's a Zaphod Beeblebrox of presidents. He's just like, you don't know what's going on. He has two heads. He's trying to find the guy who controls the universe. Whatever it is, like, he has a different path. I'm fine with that. But tariffs themselves aren't. Tariffs are a consumption tax. They're not themselves inflationary.
Right.
And it's like inflation, but you have to opt into it. You have to buy this thing.
Yeah, I keep hearing like, oh, the things you get from China will be more expensive. Well, then I'll stop buying things from China.
That's right. Which is the whole point. The whole point is to incentivize people domestically in order to produce these goods and services. So, like, if you're buying a thing from China and he decides, okay, I'm going to put 100% tariff on it, right? So now this thing that's $50 is now it would be $100. The idea then is that maybe it was not worth it domestically for a company to make it, because if they were to do it because they didn't have the expertise, because of whatever, to them it would cost $75 to make.
Mhm.
So they couldn't compete with the $50. But now that the China one is $100, now the $75 one might be worthwhile. And as they build that for $75, they might learn how to make it $65, $55 and get it lower. That's how you get to onshore things. That's how you get the knowledge within your home, your country, and you're not exporting things out all the time.
And it takes the willingness to think ahead, which I think is missing from a lot of this conversation. It's not just about you. We might right now experience pain and hardship, but then our children and children's children will have a better world. So the question isn't, will prices go up for me right now? The question is, over time, is this a better thing to do, to have manufacturing at home, to have workers here? Like, I think those are good things, and it might not like. Sometimes I worry, like, how much of is my life going to be affected by this? But I go, well, if the consequences downstream are better for the future, then that's how we should be thinking about these choices.
Now, if the tariffs are coming and there was nothing else, no other changes, nothing to offset it,
Right.
then I'd be like, okay, this is
Right.
pretty dangerous. Then you're dealing with this economic warfare, and
That's
then
right.
it could
Kathy
cause
Woods talks about this. She said
Sorry?
tariffs offset. Kathy Woods from Ark Invest.
Yeah.
She talks about this. If you
All on all the
offset,
podcasts, Naval Ravikant was talking about this too. It's pretty interesting. The idea here is that the the goal is to cut the deficit by $1 trillion per year. They then want to also cut income taxes, like remove income taxes. They want to drastically reduce government spending. Donald Trump just the other day was like, "Hey, let's see if we can cut the military by 50%." Excuse me, what now?
I couldn't believe I couldn't believe he said that.
Cut the
Unbelievable.
military? He's like, let's sit down with Russia and China and see if we can cut cut our military budget in half and spend that money internally. Unbelievable. I have never heard a sitting
Right.
politician, president, ever say that.
Right.
Ron Paul said it, and I can't believe I'm living in the Ron Paul days. Department of Education gone. Department of Education gone. Unbelievable. So, so it shows that he's thinking. Okay, we want to get long-term rates down. We want to put on tariffs in order to encourage domestic spending and to reduce exporting money abroad. We want to reduce the government spending because we know that's a burden and inflationary tax on the people. We want to reduce corruption. I mean, all that together makes the tariffs, and it could be a great idea. Now, the also, what the foreign nation can do, who's selling something for $50, 100% tariffs, go up $100, they can still cut that price for what they're doing down to 25% and get it to $75. Like that's what he's saying, that it's possible for them to lower it. And there's two ways they can do that. Either they're overcharging anyway, and so they could cut down into the profit margin, or they could print their own currency in order to devalue the currency in order to make it easier for them to produce what they need to produce. And he says, for that, if you do that, I'm going to put an extra 100% tariff on you. So that idea.
Don't play any games with your currency, right?
Sorry, your audio cut out.
We're saying like don't play. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. It's all scratchily. Check the chords.
Hello, testing 1 2 3.
Good.
Testing 1 2 3. Yeah, wasn't he saying something like don't play games with your currencies, don't do any funny
That's right.
business?
This shows me that at least him or Scott Bessent, his Secretary of Treasury, or the people around him understand. They're thinking a couple of moves ahead. Because if I was a foreign nation, I'd be like, okay, start printing. Let's lower. They'll cause inflation with their own currency, but they'll be able to export. And so it's like, okay, they're thinking ahead, and if they're thinking ahead in that way, I go, okay, that could potentially work. In fact, something I love here as Canadians, what I loved is that when the retaliation from Justin Trudeau was, we're now going to put tariffs on the United States, and he put as an addendum, and I encourage all Canadians to start ordering domestically for their things. I loved hearing that. I go, yeah, start buying local, help local businesses. Now, they could always have done that, but they weren't, because they had what's the $1 billion or the $200 billion deficit with between Canada and the United States. That's basically a subsidy that the American government is given towards Canada. Why would they want to stop that? So if the gravy train is gone, they have to increase productivity. That's what it means to buy locally. Now, obviously, I have a whole thing about Triffin's dilemma and why the U.S. government has to like export their dollars abroad, and how important that is, and then it might cause deflation abroad. Totally understand that. So there's like some serious downsides to this path, at least for the next 20 years. But like you said, long-term thinking, it's a path towards this, plus all the different plans that they have in place. It's at least one plan towards, hey, let's solve this problem. Whereas no other president, right or left, was doing anything to solve this problem at all. They're just making it worse and worse and worse. So I'm optimistic in that vein. So that's all I want to say about the Trump tariffs. That it's not necessarily inflationary, and we don't actually know how this is going to flow through our system, because the last time there were such significant tariffs, the times that Trump is referring to, we didn't have a globally synchronized economy. So we'll see how that goes.
Is there a clip to watch?
Your audio's cut out again. I thought it was the cord that was like loose.
Maybe. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's normal now?
Yeah. What are you doing to fix it?
I don't even know what's wrong.
What are you doing when you're going?
I just put it on mute. I took it off mute.
I see. All right, so it's probably a cord issue.
Is there a clip?
I just wanted to play this thing from All In. Oops, I did the wrong one.
I think I have to buy a new mixing board. I think there must be a short in it. Costs $300. God.
Yikes. Where is it?
Moving. Let me segue a point that came up that was really important into tariffs.
It's a little
That's
too
how I
fast.
normally listen to videos.
Yeah.
Moving. Let me segue a point
Okay.
that came up that was really important
Volume
into
down.
tariffs. And the point is,
Tom?
even though the internet was open,
It's too loud. It's too loud.
US won a lot of the internet. A lot of US companies won the internet.
Yep.
And they won that because we got there the firstest with the mostest, as they say in the military. And that matters because a lot of technology businesses have scale economies and network effects underneath. Even basic brand-based network effects. If you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, very few people would have predicted that we would have ended up with Amazon basically owning all of e-commerce. You would have thought it would have been a perfect competition and very spread out. And that applies to how we ended with Uber as basically one taxi service, or we end up with
Airbnb.
Meta, Airbnb. It's just network effects rule the world around me. But when it comes to tariffs and when it comes to trade, we act like network effects don't exist. The classic Ricardian comparative advantage dogma says that you should produce what you're best at, I produce what I'm best at, and we trade. And then even if you want to charge me more for it, if you want to impose tariffs for me to ship to you, I should still keep tariffs down because I'm better off. You're just selling me stuff cheaply. Great. Or if you want to subsidize your guys, great, you're selling me stuff cheaply. The problem is that is not how most modern businesses work. Most modern businesses have network effects. As a simple thought experiment, suppose that we have two countries, right? I'm China, you're the US. I start out by subsidizing all of my companies and industries that have network effects. So I'll subsidize TikTok, I'll ban your social media, but I'll push mine. I will subsidize my semiconductors, which tend to have winner take all in certain categories, or I'll subsidize my drones, and then
BYD.
Exactly, BYD, self-driving, whatever. And then when I win, I own the whole market and I can raise prices. And if you try to start up a competitor, then it's too late. I've got network effects. Or if I've got scale economies, I can lower my price to zero, crash you out of business. No one in their right mind will invest, and I'll raise prices right back up. So you have to understand that certain industries have hysteresis, or they have network effects, or they have economies of scale. And these are all the interesting ones. These are all the high margin businesses. So in those, if somebody is subsidizing or they're raising tariffs against you to protect your industries and let them develop, you do have to do something. You can't just completely back down.
What do
Anyway,
you guys?
All right, so that's the idea here of that tariffs are a lever that you can pull in order to give yourself more time, more runway in order to get your thing up and running to get dominance within the area. Now, they always make the argument, all these people, all these oligarchs always make their argument for the American empire, for District 1. Totally understand that. And just to put my cards on the table, I'm like on the fence of what I think about all that. But when I was younger, I was all for a new revolution and change in the system, all that. And as you get older, you're sort of like, well, I do like that my garbage gets picked up, and I like that my lights turn on, and like that my water is running. So I'm far more of an incrementalist. Especially when you get children, you're sort of like, do I want to fight a revolution while I have kids? I'm not going to be doing that. So
Far less people have kids these days, so that revolution is coming.
and there is always like there's the empire period, and then the period of leading, the turmoil of leading up to an empire, like where there's none of that. And people talk about, you ever look at history of the times in between empires? Freaking terrible.
Dark
It was
Ages.
horrible. There's nothing imposing any order. It's the strongest survival of the fittest, and the empire comes, and whether you like the empire or not, is instituting an order that then helps to reduce the uncertainty and volatility of the future. I always think about the Hammurabi's code, and I'm not a historian or anything like that, but the idea is that a bunch of these laws within the Hammurabi's code was brutal. Like death was like the penalty for a lot of things. You didn't build a house right, death. You cheated on your right, death. You walked on the grass, death. So it's like but it was like, you from what I understand, that order was needed because there was such a chaos between multiple warring systems, that a system like that sort of like, okay, put everyone even keel. They knew, okay, let me not step out of line, and you can start building businesses and building things for the future because you have an idea of how things will work out. Reminds me also of the Star Trek Next Generation episode. I don't know if you remember this, where they go to a planet and it's just beautiful and peaceful and everyone's happy and loving and everyone's gorgeous and beautiful and healthy and all that sort of thing. And they go down. Was it Star Trek Next Generation?
I think it
so.
was.
And then one of the people, I think, stepped on the grass or did something slightly wrong that we would just consider to be, well, just a sign that says don't do it. And they go, but the penalty for every transgression was always death. And there's this nice debate as to, they were like, you're horrible. Like, yeah, but look how wonderful our world is. You even thought it was wonderful, and the reason we got to there is because of the death thing. So that rule of law, that root of order, or I don't even like saying it in that way. The reduction of volatility, of uncertainty, is where then you can then make decisions for your future. You want volatility in order to make money, but not volatility on the basic way of how things work. You don't want to wake up tomorrow and you're wondering if your money's worth anything. You don't want that kind of volatility. And you have the American empire declines or disappears. That's what you're gonna get. Like, that's what you're gonna get. People could poo-poo the Roman Empire all they want, but the roads that they built and connected the different cities after they killed everyone in those locations and instituted the order and killed everyone who was in charge, the people were able to then use those systems in order to build things that stand to this day. So, am I pro-American Empire? I'm not sure. And while I'm not sure, I'm going to do some pro-Empire stuff. Well, I'm not sure. Let's just get to District 1 and then we figure it out when we get there. Put on a couple of layers and we'll figure it out at the airport. All right. The last thing we'll talk about is Grok 3. Peter?
Oh, yeah.
I want to get you on the Grok bandwagon. You're not really
First of all,
using Grok.
play the clip and then we'll talk
Okay,
about it.
yeah. So this is a clip from
Elon knows how to hype a thing, I'll tell you that. He knows how to get me excited.
The name of this conference, I thought it was pretty good. World Government Summit. Just
wonderful.
So evil in the World Economic font and everything like that. I go, this is, whenever you see this style, let me just put it on the screen. Whenever you see this style, it's District 1 style. That's what it is. This is District 1, their events. All right, a few seconds here.
Okay, please.
No, you can say it's too loud, right? Let me lower.
No, it's good. It's good.
In the test, Grok 3 has very powerful reasoning capabilities. In the tests that we've done thus far, Grok 3 is outperforming anything that's been released that we're aware of. So that's a good sign. It's in fact, at times I think Grok 3 is kind of scary smart. You're like, wow, this thing's smart.
So that was Elon Musk actually talking.
Scary smart. This guy, he really knows. He really knows what to do. Scary smart is exactly the terminology you want to hear to get excited about an AI. Scary
and from
smart.
Elon. That's what I want. I want that from Elon.
Well, look, from Elon, I discount it a bit because
Why?
he's
the
a
one who was
hype
warning
guy.
everyone about the dangers of AI.
Yeah, I know, but he's a hype guy. You know, he's a salesman. He's a really good one, but he over promises, under delivers for the most part.
Does he?
I love Elon. I love Elon for president. I mean, I guess he is president. I'm kidding. That's what the
choose your oligarch.
But he he's ambitious.
Well, I use Grok too. right? And I pay for ChatGPT, and I was paying for Perplexity, and I just really love these systems. And then I started going like, Grok 2 went through a recent facelift because it was a little bit harder to use before. You didn't have a bunch of history things, and ChatGPT has really gone through teaching us like how we want our interfaces to be and how we want our responses to be and where things should be, blah blah blah. So that familiarity is there now, and so they upgraded Grok 2 in order to be more familiar that way. The information I get from it and the way that it delivers information is just, I mean, not for coding. This is just like research information and getting ideas for things or whatever. So much better because
Hmm.
it's going through not only a bunch of stuff on the internet but also social media posts, like the Twitter posts. And think of all those Twitter threads and posts that have such useful information, and 7 tools that can help change this, or someone breaks down a particular topic in an easy to digest way, and maybe 50 people digested that topic in a very interesting way. Well, then now Grok is using the system in order to deliver it to you, not in it's scraped just some academic paper and it's spitting that out to you in a way that might be more familiar, but it's using that information, that same academic information that people use in order to generate their thing on Twitter, but written in a way that makes you feel compelling. And so you get these descriptions that are up to date. It's up to date till now, right? And then it shows you all the references for the posts and the content that's shared. So when someone shares a link to an article and then writes their post about that, also that article is scanned.
Hmm.
So then you could follow your way down through what people are saying um, through the to the original articles in order to get the information that you need. And I'm finding it better than when I'm on Perplexity and it's giving me the first 5 pages of Google sort of thing, like the first couple of pages of Google. It's referencing that information, but to go, well, if I want to go deeper, I can't really. The citations that I'm getting for Perplexity are all like SEO stuff. But I don't want SEO stuff. I want stuff that was like useful. So when I click on the post and I go on Twitter and I could see that's used as a reference and I see, oh, it had a bunch of
Right.
shares and likes and quotes and whatever, well, then I have a little more respect for that. And plus, usually the first couple of comments on those posts are also useful in order to jump to other information. So I'm finding it to be like the thing that makes my Twitter subscription worthwhile. And I'm using now Grok every single day. So if Grok 3 comes out and it's better, oh Nelly. Now, one of the things I like is that I can check to see what are current popular or high performing cryptocurrency coins, right? But it doesn't have access to like live chart data. It's going based on what people are saying, right?
Hmm.
So it was, oh, based on what people are saying, these are the ones that are performing, and the numbers that it's giving you for the
But
performance
there's a
are,
lot of
oh,
bots.
right. So that's where you get to go. So it'll list me a bunch of them, and then I could go and check to see, hey, is this feels bot heavy? Is this a coin I might pay attention to? But it showed me a bunch of coins that I would never have had on my radar. And then when I go look up on the chart, it looks pretty good. It's go, oh yeah, this is pretty interesting. Oh, what's Phantom Network? What's CAS? Let me go check what these things are doing, and then also the reason why that it's happening. Whereas I can't get that on. I mean, I could try to get it on Perplexity, but again, it's just the top level stuff that's showing from articles on Google and OpenAI. Forget it. I'm not even going to get. I'm not
Why
going to get
isn't
into it for a while.
why isn't Grok good at coding?
I haven't tried it, but that's not. If you're considering the the base for it, Stack Overflow for for OpenAI is going to be much better than any coding that you're going to get online. So I haven't really tried it for coding, but I'm not expecting that.
But if Grok 3 doesn't do coding, it's not going to be heralded as the best AI on the planet.
I haven't tried it for coding, but
Nobody uses it
I
for
use
coding.
AI for coding and I use it for research, but I use it the
What,
the
what do you
research
think
portion.
Elon means by scary smart? He gave an example in that talk, in that interview, where he said it'll give you solutions that you would never have thought of. And I wish he would go further and say, like, what kind of solutions. I mean, Elon seems to have thought about everything. What is he asking that he hasn't thought of? It reminds me of the chess move with AlphaGo, where they actually, I think it's both with chess and what's the Chinese game, the black and white?
Backgammon?
No.
No, go.
Go, yeah. Where the AI makes a move, and everybody in the moment is like, "This is a completely ridiculous move. It doesn't make any sense at all." And then, hindsight, they realize it was a genius move, genius level
Right.
IQ, and still it was hard for them to comprehend it. If he means scary in that way, I'm very excited about that because, look, I took O3 Mini and I asked it, through various prompts, make UBI work in Canada. Like what would have to be done, and I cajoled it and we talked about it and provided an information. And I said, I want every Canadian to get $2,000 a month. How can we make this work? And at first it was just like, this is not gonna work. But then eventually we got to a proposal that, you could actually see how it can work. This UBI. Now, am I going to trust this thing? And, is this full? No. But if we get to a scary level of AI that's like, hey, this is how you can structure your society. These are the things that you can implement, and then your country will, who cares about Trump's tariffs? You'll be the richest country, Canada. Then that's the kind of scary I want. If it's the kind of scary where like nobody can hide, and every time you go on to an interview, people will do a deep research on you, and you're going on a date. I heard somebody talking about this deep research that everybody's doing now. Perplexity just came out with one. OpenAI has one. Like people are going to go on before they go on dates. They're going to deep research you. I'm not so sure I'm excited about that. I don't want to get to an interview and they've
I'm
deep
all for that.
researched me.
Why wouldn't you want someone to? Why wouldn't you want some?
Have you asked AI to do a psychological analysis on you based on what it knows
No,
about you?
no.
Yeesh, bruh. It can get pretty. It's not using all of my chat. Now, I store a lot of things in memory that I think is very helpful. It's not looking at all your chats. But once it can look at all your chats, which is coming soon, and analyze you and give you a psychological profile, a breakdown of your pros and cons, your faults, all that stuff, you read it and you're like, oof, this is real.
I
And
would
if
love
somebody
that.
else has access to that or something adjacent to that,
Well, they already do. The oligarchs already have these profiles.
no, I mean the average person.
That's fine by me. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I want that?
Tom, you want to look under the every rock and see all the disgusting things that people are hiding? There's a reason we wear clothes.
AI is the psychedelic realm pushing itself through us. They're like, okay, they're not coming through the psychedelic stuff. Let's go through the technology that they created, and it's gonna unlock all the different doors inside of our brain. And if that has to happen through AI in that way, then I'll take it.
No, that's exactly what I don't want.
Well, then we got to spike the water systems in order to wake people up. So let's take it. What do you want? You want
What do you
LSD
wake
in the
people
water,
up?
or you want AI?
Why do we need people to wake up?
No. It's gonna happen, right?
We're one
You have
solar flare away from that not happening.
fair enough.
We're one asteroid coming out of nowhere well, one
Those, by the way,
alien.
are the reasons why I have no problem with AI. Like, let's get to a thing that might be able to help with the solar flare asteroid thing.
I think about it, Tom. We're facing doom. It's in the face, and nobody's really talking about it. Nobody's doing anything about it. Uh, 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 so many things can cause. This is why I like AI, because AI might save us from these disasters. Because as far as I can tell, there's nothing preventing us from mass disaster or crisis event, and it's guaranteed to happen. The only question is when.
I mean, pyramids showed us that. The pyramids, 30,000 years old, and went through 2 crises. Okay, what worked before? What happened before it didn't work? Let's juice it up. Let's get Bitcoin and crypto into all things. Let's monetize everything. Choose Marxism, choose capitalism, whatever. Let's just go straight down. How about half the world we do Marxism, the other half of the world we do capitalism, and let's get to the point where we can save the species. Let's just do that.
Do you think
Because
they're
the
using?
last 9 times it happened, apparently, didn't go so well.
Do you think? I think humanity is always destined for Control Alt Delete. I mean, hard reboot. I think it just there's no. I don't think there's anything we can do. There's always going to be a hard reboot. I remember watching a Joe Rogan podcast where he talked about how the warming of the climate melts the ice caps that contain viruses from 10,000 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, a virus. There's got to be 100 viruses that can wipe us out. So I think we're totally doomed. Enjoy it while it lasts. That's the way I think, and make life good now. That's kind of like temporary thing, which I think is a good way to live. But do you think that they're using AI and maybe even will Grok 3 maybe allow Doge to do even more in the government? You think Grok 3 is going to make its way into the administration? They must be using some level of AI to go through the networks and all the money that's flowing around. There's no way
Well, they
they're
can use
going
machine
through.
learning. They don't have to use language models.
True.
What you're saying, by the way, always reminds me of this thing over here, which I always keep in mind. 1 second. I always think about this guy.
Oh, yes, that's right. Can you make it bigger? That's good.
And I just love this shot of the plane coming down from the sky. Calvin, the little kid over here, the plane's coming down from the sky. The train comes off the tracks. They're both converging to a place on the earth where there's a tectonic shift happening, and there's a gas leak in the Farmer Brown's house, and he's about to strike the match. And as he strikes the match, he looks out of his kitchen window, and Hop says, "Can we play something else?" Always think about this. I think it's just so funny, so dead on. That's what it feels like. Let's do COVID-19, and then drones, and then UAPs, and then AI, and then cryptocurrency, and then they thought Ball Brox as president, and let's just throw in a couple of wars for good measure, and let's do that. Oh, I just think the whole thing is unbelievable.
We're
And Bill Gates
combining
on one side is
AI
saying,
with
"Hey,
robotics.
one way we can circumvent vaccine hesitation is by having vaccines be airborne." And you're like, what now? No,
Did
this
you
technology
hear?
that modifies your DNA. It's an operating system for your DNA, and we can just make it airborne.
Did you hear? I don't remember what billionaire said this, but he was talking about with AI and crime. Like, we're going to be able to know what everybody's doing. There won't be any more crime. Like, we'll monitor and watch everybody with every single thing, and there's not going to be a single thing they're going to be able to hide. I was like, the only people who say that with joy in their heart are the people controlling the levers. It's nobody else.
But this is what I'm trying to say with the whole District 1 American Empire thing. I'm sort of like okay with that direction if at the same time I get like they bring back the OA. Like if they're like, we're still gonna do all the things that make it entertaining. Sure, you're gonna have all the stuff we just scan you all the time, but if you can still have these interesting things happen. I go, okay, I would prefer that over farming my own food and trying to put a tourniquet on my kid's leg when he breaks his leg out in the woods, and I'm trying to I always compare it to that. And I go, do I want to be a fisherman on the ocean? I leave for 6 months and I come back and I see my kid. He just grows every 6 months or whatever. Like, do I want that, or do I want government surveillance for everything that I'm doing? But
And control.
I know what I'm supposed to be. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
I think totalitarianism is destiny with with technology. I think it's destiny. I think we're going to be completely controlled. The only saving grace is the elites will war amongst themselves.
That's right. That's right.
That's
Whenever I
what's
saw
happening now. That's what's happening right now.
That's right. And let's just can we just get to AI government and be done with it? Why are we messing around here? We know that's what we're going to do.
I don't even care if it has hallucinations. I don't even care if it has hallucinations. AI government right now. I will take AI government right now. I've argued with ChatGPT, advanced voice mode, about the gun debate. United States, the gun debate. And I got it to kind of like, oh, okay, well, yeah, balance between freedom and yeah, I guess you're right. Like I could convince the AI, we could have a reasonable conversation about it, and it revealed things to me. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. I should really think about that. Um, there was no like, you what, you monster. There was none of that. So I look, if I ever when I commit a crime and I'm before a judge, I will would you like the human judge or the AI judge? I think it's going to be like
AI,
that. I
AI
will
judge,
take the
please.
AI judge. Okay, unless unless the real judge looks like me, I guess. I don't know. I mean, are they my family? Otherwise, have I bribed them? Otherwise, I'll take the AI. Thank you very much. I'm one prompt away from freedom.
That's
Uh,
right.
yeah.
All right. So that's it for our stories for this week. Everything's Trump. Like no matter what, there's no way around the Trump trades. There's no way around the Trump macro or micro and all these things. All happening during the fourth turning. Ugh, there's no lack
Oh,
of.
speaking of Grok 3, do you think that maybe we should talk about this another time, but do you think Elon is making a serious play to buy OpenAI, the nonprofit?
I didn't think it was serious. He was going to buy Twitter, and he bought that for 40 or 4 billion.
That's
So
that's exactly what I keep
I'm not going to put
thinking.
anything by him. Why wouldn't he buy it back?
What about how do you feel about this argument? People say, why would he want to buy that if he has something better?
Because it's a big fu to Sam Altman, who stole OpenAI for him, lied to everybody, and turned into a profit-making thing. I think he
You,
would just
you
want to buy
believe
it just to keep it on the shelf, just for hey.
so you believe in Elon's perspective of OpenAI?
Of what?
That Sam Altman, they stole this and it's sinister and blah blah blah.
Sam Altman sat in a Senate hearing
I don't
and
need
said that
money. I have enough money.
he does it for the love of whatever and healthcare, and that he doesn't make any money from OpenAI. And 10 seconds later, OpenAI, he controls the entire board, and OpenAI becomes a for-profit.
Okay, no, but okay, I know you're doing the whole Candace Owens conspiracy thing, connecting the dots. Okay, but that's not the way it works. First of all, he was forced out of the company and he came back and he had to clear house. That's why he
He
controlled the
rose
board.
on the third day. Say it right.
And they need, from what I understand, they need to change the structure of the company so they can get investment. You gotta build the infrastructure.
Naval talks about it
AI.
inside of All In. He goes, he didn't have to turn the whole company into for profit. He could have kept the non-profit component and just have a profit component that allows for all the incentivization and money and all that. He goes, this was not necessary.
And then would he become a triple-digit billionaire under that
He
scenario?
could still be compensated.
Because the other thing is, look, if I got Mad Dog Musk after me, okay, I need to get as rich as I can, as fast as I can. He needs a defense against the Dark Lord.
I don't even think you need Elon Musk. If I had a chance of making triple-digit $1 billion, I don't know that there's much.
The headache
I would
that he has to
immediately
go
turn
through
on
in
that.
order.
He's not
No,
hurting anybody. He's not
Tom,
hurting anybody.
No, if you have $10 billion, if I have $10 billion and I can do this thing that's going to be a lot of difficulty and a lot of stress and scrutiny, and I'll get to $100 billion. I don't want $100 billion. What do I need
You
$100
don't
billion
want?
for? What am I going to do with if I already have 10 billion? What do I need another $90 billion for?
You'll figure it out.
No,
You'll figure it out.
no. The headache that must come with all that must be unbelievable.
What are you talking about? This is like when poor people say, "I don't want to win the lottery. I don't want my life to
No,
change."
there's a
I'm gonna win
difference
the lottery.
between
I'm still gonna work at work. No, you're
no,
not. You'd be
no,
stepping
no.
over homeless people the same way I am. What are you
No,
talking
Tom.
about?
Once you get to the level of 10 billion, unless you want to buy and sell countries, what the heck do you need?
No.
What would you do with an extra $90 billion? Well, how would that change your life from 10 billion?
You figure that out once you have $100 billion.
So right now you're telling me you have no idea how it could.
No, I have no idea.
So from
I
my
just know that it
perspective,
would.
it doesn't materially
What
change
would my life be
anything.
like if I had wings? I'd fly around. Where would you fly to? I don't know. I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna find out where I'm gonna fly to.
Yeah, I know. You could do that even though you don't have wings, and you can infer if I had wings, this is how it would change my life. So from 10 billion to 100 billion, unless you're trying to buy companies and all that stuff, what difference does it make to you? What else could you
Look,
possibly need?
Microsoft is spending $75 billion a year on AI development. So $75 billion a year is just getting you in the game of AI development. If Sam Altman believes that AI will bring God, then he needs $1 trillion. He needs $1 trillion and more money
He
coming
needs
in.
it, or the company needs it?
He needs it. Sam Altman is a chosen vessel and prophet. He rose on the third day. He embodies AI. He is AI.
Okay, all right. We're getting off track here.
That's what he is.
Okay, look, I'm
He
not
has
gonna.
acolytes and followers.
Who are you on, Team Elon or Team Altman? Team Musk, Team Altman. When it comes to who's going to win the AI race,
Don't make me choose between my two daddies, Peter. Are you kidding me?
I think Elon has far more experience destroying his enemies than Altman.
I
right?
mean, I'm on Team Elon only in the sense of I have more history with him.
Right,
Him and I go way back.
the one who brought you.
But and Sam Altman to me feels more like Elon Musk reminds me of Lex Luthor, and Sam Altman reminds me of the villain who like loses all his hair, loses his eyes, and like becomes like more like what's like the blue guy from Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan. So Sam Altman reminds me of like Dr. Manhattan, and Elon Musk is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor cares about the world. What he's against is illegal alien immigration to the planet taking over good earthling jobs. Right? That's what he hates. Dr. Manhattan kisses off to Mars and goes, I don't want to do with human beings anymore.
It sounds like
That's
Elon
why
is both Dr. Manhattan and
no,
Lex
he's breeding
Luthor.
like crazy. What, he's got 20 kids?
No, I get
He's
you.
boning Amber Heard. This guy's mundane. He's part of us.
Does Altman have any children?
No.
I
Isn't
mean,
he
I know
gay?
he's gay, but did he? Well, I mean, gay people can have children. It's weird that he doesn't have any children.
Why? Isn't he 40 something? Yeah, he should have kids by now, right?
I think if you don't have kids and you're in power, it's a little scary.
And you talk about AI as your god? Yeah, it's a little bit
Yeah,
much.
because you don't the investment in the future, like it's
Right. But I think Papa Elon needed a
an
villain like
adversary.
Altman
Yeah, I
in
guess
order to
so.
activate him.
He was kind of slacking off there. He needed some fire.
Well,
some
what's the
juice.
line from Batman? We got guns. They got assault rifles. You put on a mask and start jumping off of roofs. What do you think is going to come after next?
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
And then
That's
Joker
right.
shows up after
Yeah.
that. I get it. Look it. Let's ramp this up. I'm on Team Human, and let's just.
So you're
ramp
with
it up.
Elon. You're with Elon.
I'm for the conflict. We gotta stop the flares and the asteroids and get to the other planets. And it's gotta happen while I'm alive because I'm not gonna care otherwise. So let's get it going. Crock pot this stuff, Peter. 8 hours if you cook it over the fire, 3 hours if you cook it over crock pot. Crock pot it.
It's pressure pot, right?
Pressure cooker. There we go.
Pressure
That's
cooker.
what I want. Pressure cooker.
All right.
Let's do it. All right. That's it for that. You'll edit this to make me sound like crazy.
I don't think that's possible.
I'm pretty sure you can.
I think all your District 9 references. District, what is it?
District 1. District 9
1.
is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, District 1 is where you want to be.
Right.
But you don't want to be Snow. You don't want to be a game master. You don't want to be Snow. You want to be like the lady who changed herself to look like a cat and runs like a store. That's what you want. That's like the good area. You want to be in the audience watching Pete, and you go, he looks like he's under some sort of mind control. I don't know. You want to
How long ago did Hunger Games come out? Are there people alive now who that's just old now?
Well, yeah, Hunger Games came out, what, 2004?
2004. Oh, cool. So there's people watching this now who maybe never seen Hunger Games. All your references.
What's the new one? I'm gonna have to upgrade it to what? What's the new hip Zoomer one?
I don't know.
They don't have
Shadow
any
and
new stuff.
Bone. I don't know. I don't know what the young people do
Shadow
today.
and Bone? No, dystopian stuff is on. We did that with our generation, right? Before that was aliens and all that. So we had the dystopian stuff. Now we're living it, right? It's always like you have it, and then the next 10 years, that's what you live through. And so now all the stuff we're seeing is
Zombies, aliens.
Zombies, aliens, right? So the next 10 years should be pretty interesting. We'll see. We'll see. All right, Peter. It's fun as always.
My heart goes out to you.
You gotta think, and you gotta go.
Don't.
You gotta go like this.
You gotta go.
You gotta go like this.
You gotta palm up.
That's the right way. Look for your
My heart
palm
goes
angles.
out to you.
You also have to pretend you're on traders. You gotta be like, you see some
That's right.
traders, they do this. You're a trader. Oh.